President Trump signed a massive new spending bill just weeks before tax day. And if you've ever wondered where your tax dollars are going, well, you're not alone. Rapper Cardi B wants to know also.
So, the government is taking 40% of my taxes. And Uncle Sam, I want to know what you're doing with tax money, because you know what I'm saying? Like, when you donate to a kid from a foreign country, they give you updates of what they're doing with your donation. I want to know what you're doing with my tax money, because I'm from New York and the streets is always dirty. We was voted the dirtiest city in America. What is y'all doing? There's still rats on the damn trains. I know y'all not spending it in no damn prison, because y'all be giving 2 underwears, 1 jumpsuit for like 5 months. So what is y'all doing with my money? What is y'all doing with my money? I want to know. I want receipts. I want everything. I want to know what y'all with my what is y'all with my Uncle Sam, I want to know what with my money.
Okay, well, the Washington Post tried to help Cardi figure out where her money is probably going. National correspondent Philip Bump wrote the piece for the Post. So I empathize with that frustration, right? Sure. Where is the money going, actually, right? Especially when you hear about this bill that was just signed today, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Well, what's it all going for? You broke it down. Where does our tax money go?
So it's first of all important to say that when you make your payments to the federal government, it's not as though it goes to everything equally, right? I mean, obviously, I think Cardi B probably pays more in taxes than you or I do. But what I try to do is I try to basically answer her question, which is a good question that everyone should know the answer to, by looking at how the government spends money. And so essentially what happens is about half of the money that the government spends, and therefore presumably about half of what she gives them, goes to things like social service programs, goes to Medicare, goes to Social Security. There is also another large chunk that goes to the military, perhaps understandably. And then there's also a big chunk that goes to paying off interest on the national debt, which is not obviously something that people generally think of as their tax dollars going to. But those are really the biggest buckets in terms of where tax dollars go.
Right, exactly. And the 7% interest is basically what everybody's paying on what's being spent. I think in your piece also you said that the White House estimates it's going to collect about $3.34 trillion, but spend this coming year $4.17 trillion, right? So obviously that's where the deficit is. But with Cardi B, she really talks about, she isolated 2 things. She talked about prisons and also transportation. Tell us about that, because when you walk outside, you do sometimes say, where's the money?
Sure. No, it's totally understandable. I mean, I think it's important to note that Cardi B isn't actually saying, hey, show me the receipts for where my tax dollars are going, so much as she is just frustrated that there are societal problems and she's paying a lot of taxes that don't seem to be doing much about it. Obviously, also, it is not the case that her federal tax dollars then go to clean up the streets of New York City. That is New York City's problem. But all of that said, this is a situation in which you have someone who is trying to has expressed that they're paying a lot of money for the federal government, that there are the train issue, which is complicated in New York City, which we all understand. It is a state agency that runs the trains, but it still also gets federal money. If you look actually at how much money goes from the federal government to transportation nationally, it is a tiny part of what the federal government spends money on, as is the federal prison system, which she obviously mentioned in her little rant as well. And so I think that while we see a lot of evidence of things that are not working very well, the government actually doesn't spend a lot of money on those things. What the government mostly spends money on is people.
So, and this video that she posted is getting a lot of attention, a lot of interest. People, again, it's less the numbers, more so the frustration that people feel, especially with tax time coming due. Let's talk about that. She does the dynamic between what you're paying federal, what you're paying for state. How does that, when people are paying taxes, how does that manifest itself?
Well, I mean, I think that, probably most people at this point use a tool like TurboTax. And so you're familiar with the experience of filling out all of your information. It goes and you get your receipt on what the federal taxes are, and then you have to fill out another one for your state, assuming your state requires income taxes, which not all states do. Some states, Texas, Alaska, don't. And then also there are some places, such as New York City, where you have to pay additional tax for the city, which, again, isn't the case in all places. So Cardi B says that she's a resident of New York. I'm not sure if she still is at this point in time, but she's paying 3 layers of taxes, which I think adds to the frustration of where's all this money going when I see, when you're paying a New York City tax and then you do get on the subway, which again, I'm not sure how much Cardi B does at this point, but you get on the subway and there are problems with the subway, that's frustrating. And I think that that's generally really the point.
She gave that example of, when you give money to charity, at least you get a letter saying your money is going to help this little boy get 3 meals a day or something. Yeah. Is there anything with the tax overhaul? Why not tell Americans, okay, guess what? The portion went to this, the portion went to that. Why not let us know what it is we're doing?
Well, I think the easiest answer for that is that the people who would allow that to happen are politicians. And I don't think that politicians who advocate for particular programs, which may have a perfectly valid use, those programs can often also be interpreted in ways that are negative, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that the government does, a lot of things the government spends money on, that if you were to say, oh, the government is spending money on this, people's responses may be, why are they spending money on that? Right. I mean, look, for example, at education. There are a lot of people who don't have kids that are in school, and they don't, it's frustrating that they have to pay for school sometimes when their kids don't go to schools. That's the case across the board with a lot of things in the federal government. And I think that from a political standpoint, it's probably not advantageous to lay it all out there. I mean, even the breakdown that I did, which had 67 different categories, that's probably 1/100th of what actually, of the programs, and 1/1000th of the programs that are actually funded by the government.
Right. Pretty amazing. And everybody's going to be taking out the pens over the next couple of weeks to do their taxes. So we will see. Again, she was certainly embracing what folks feel going into tax season. Yes, all right, Philippa, we appreciate it. Great reporting. Thanks for breaking it down.